everyone. So I've knocked out quite a few Manticore settings, some Minelab Manticore videos, and they've really been at different stages. So my last one I've sort of pushed out is the Minelab Manticore balance settings, where I've taken everything I've learned and I've just sort of implemented it. So yeah, check them out on my videos below. The purpose of this now is basically like to keep those same settings that I've been using, and they work, and other people have put them on theirs, and there's no right or wrong way. They're just the way I sort of put on my Minelab Manticore settings, and it works really, really well. So what the whole point of this sort of tutorial is now is to sort of break down each one and then add some extra tweaks onto it, and really talk about, yeah, these what I run with, but actually they're fully customizable. I always go into things and tweak things and change things. And yeah, that's what the purpose of this final sort of Minelab Manticore tutorial will be, or the final one for a long while until I make some improvements that are necessary. Because things never stop; they always evolve and they always change, and that's what the purpose of this video is now, to break it down. I'm not going to change settings. I'll show you each one as they go through, rather than change them and showing you how to set them up. You can check that out below on my Manticore playlist on balance settings. And this is really to talk about each one and the refinements I can make on the ground as we go through. So it's really, that's why this is called the Manticore fully customizable session, because the Minelab Manticore is awesome at changing things on the ground. There's a lot of people say don't use this setting, don't use that, don't do this, don't do that. Whereas this tutorial will actually show you, yes, do change stuff. That's the whole point of the Minelab Manticore. Otherwise, you may as well buy an Equinox 700 or 900 and have more fixed settings. The whole point of the Minelab Manticore is how awesome and customizable it is. Anyway, enough waffle from me. What we'll do now is we'll break down each one, and we'll go from there, guys. Yeah. But if you've got any questions or any better ways of doing it, please put in the comments below. Hope you like the video. Please like and subscribe. Okay, so wicked then. Let's just jump straight into it then. So volume, I always have on full whack. I always have the headphones on full whack as well. Can't go wrong with that. I've turned the sensitivity all the way down for the purpose of this lesson. You can see there the left and right arrows are the ones that control the sensitivity. It just stops the buzzing of the noise during this. Now what I normally do is I run my sensitivity on 25, but yeah, you can run it on wherever you want. Run on 25, and then if the ground's a bit quiet, add it up one. You don't want to be running it hot. If it's too chirpy, then knock it down one. So the sensitivity, these left and right keys, should always be changeable. All Terrain General, that just for me, it ticks all the boxes. It's definitely not the one and only one. All Terrain Fast has got his strengths as well. It's pretty good on ploughed lands. Low conductors are pretty good if you've got like an ancient site when you want to pick up those deep copper Romans. High conductors are brilliant if you want to go silver shooting. And then trash reject settings, brilliant. Use that. I've got a trash reject settings in the playlist for the Manticore below. That's brilliant for obviously trash areas. And also I made some enhancements on top of that to etch out 28 to 32 to etch out the ring pulse, etc. And you've got all the beach settings, and then the gold fields as well. So yeah, I run with all terrain general though. Noise cancel before each one. Each sort of find a clean patch of land first on all metal modes on, and then conduct a noise cancel by pressing and holding. I put the hotkeys onto noise cancel there, so I just do it straight off my hotkeys, and I'll show you how to set that up later. Yeah, noise cancel is paramount whenever you start detecting if it gets too noisy or if you move on to another field. Ground balance, you can see it's on 15 there. So I've always advised before not to ground balance. However, I realise, especially on dry soil or ploughed land, this is when it comes to life. Okay, so yeah, and I spoke to a guy called Lee, the Northeast Detective on TikTok, who is an absolute beast when it comes to the Manticore. So I picked up some of this stuff off him. Pick him up on TikTok, the Northeast Detectorist, absolute legend with the Manticore. So yeah, I do a manual ground balance. Again, find a clean patch of land, conduct the ground balance as per the instructions by pressing holding this button and pumping it up and down by the ground. it'll pick up the sort of mineralization and set up an automatic ground balance. If it goes over 20, or if I'm on ploughed land, I'd whack the tracking on. Now, there's people who say don't use the tracking and misses targets. Minelab simply would not put a function on to an £1,800 machine, or however much it costs at the time, if it didn't work. Okay, so it is an awesome function. It's got to be used at the right time. So yeah, I've started doing ground balances now on sort of dried soil or ploughed land. So that's one thing to add from my further videos. Recovery speed, again, this isn't just one way of doing the recovery speed. This is fully customizable. Tweak it to the ground suit. So if the ground is super quiet, I might knock it down to 4. I tend not to go down any further than 4. That will just give you a little bit more depth. I'm getting super deep targets. Even with the 9-inch core, you can see there really deep targets. I had a tiny little spindle wheel 14 inches down with a 9-inch core. So I know I'm not going to miss any small or large targets with this. Awesome. And then if you've got super trashy ground, put it up to 6 or 7. It'll just separate the junky bits of targets out even better. So this, again, shouldn't be a fixed way of doing it. This should be customizable to the ground, guys. Knock that back to 5 is what I run through on default. Discrimination pattern, leave that as it is. And then all metal is just obviously all metal, so you don't need to make any tweaks to that. Presets then, so I run with an upper of 8 and a lower of 3. I think it's 9 and 4 to default. It just opens it up a tiny little bit. However, if I'm on the ground and it gets super trashy, I'll put it back to 9 and 4 again. Again, just closing that little sort of gap where there's lots of junk and you just won't hear as much as a chatter. Lots of people use all metal, and that's brilliant. If you want to use all metal, that'll work as well. You can lower the iron bias volume, so you can hear the iron in the background. It still opens up the whole machine, but you can lower the iron bias volume as well, so you don't pick up on all the noise. However, because I do most of my detecting now is all live streams, I don't like that background noise with the iron sort of going nuts. Ferrous volume, this is what I was talking about. You can lower that down. If you wanted to open up all metal mode, you can put that onto 2 to 3. So you can still hear the iron, but just hear it quietly in the background, and then you literally pick up everything then. I leave mine on 8 because I don't use all metal mode. Ferrous pitch, 1's fine. And then important stuff now. Stabilizer. Now everyone says run with the stabilizer off because this separates targets better. They're right. Having one stabilizer and stabilizer filter off does separate targets better. But if you ever go over a hole and you've got a dodgy target and you're not sure you could dig it, not sure you should dig it, because you can hear a little bit of grunting noise, but you can kind of hear a good tone, just go onto this quickly. Whack the stabilizer on, put the stabilizer filter onto 4 or 5, and then you're good to go. Happy days. That will potentially winkle out whether you should bother digging that target or not. Take seconds. That's what the whole point is. The Manticore is fully customizable. Then whack the stabilizer filter back off, and off you go detecting. The whole point of this is just filters out the targets better. With the actual stabilizer numbers then, in regards to this, I run with 1, and then if it's a hot, heavily iron infested field, I'll just bang this up to 3, and now that will calm the machine down. Yes, you might miss the odd target that's mixed in with the iron, but you'll spend a lot less time digging up iron as well. So again, use this function when required. Don't just not use it thinking, listening to other people. Best advice I can give you is take the machine out and just play around with it all. And then if it all starts going a bit wrong, just literally press and hold the power button, system for 7 seconds, system reset, and go again. 5-tone then, brilliant. I use this 5-tone. I don't play around with I don't make any adjustments to any of the tone regions. I run with 5-tone purely because I'm an Equinox 800 user. So it sounds exactly the same as my old Equinox 800. It still picks up everything brilliant. I know everything in the first number, the low conductors, going to be hammered coins. I sort of know everything at the end there. The high numbers, the 90s and stuff, are going to be cartwheels or massive florins, massive silver coins. So this works for me. Another option for you, if you want to get a little bit more separation and stuff, is the 1 region all tone. That slides up, so every sort of item is a 1 to 99 region. That's a really good setup as well. But for me, the basic 5-tone works just fine. Audio themes then, I run with threshold level of 0, normal, and I run with simple. The reason I use simple is because all the deep targets sound the same as well. I'll pick up a small deep target and it'll give it the same audio feedback. If you start putting on to medium, or if you put on rich, for example, then the deeper targets will sound a little bit fainter. And that's fine if you want to sort of make the deep target sound different, and you can do that on permissions that you've been tacked on for ages. Bang on rich, and you're like, that's a quiet target because it goes quieter on rich the deeper it goes down. So that might be a good way to set up when required. But for me, having the simple on, so all the small targets, deep targets sound the same at depth, then that's brilliant for me. That works for me. And there are your other options there. But yeah, I run with normal and simple. Multi-IQ, obviously, why would you spend all this money on a really expensive machine and then not put on some multi-IQ? It doesn't make sense. However, there are areas where, you know, if you want more focus on like the high conductors, then you can change the frequencies. It does disable ferrous limits though, so it goes into all metal mode. You're basically like using an old metal detector if you change the frequencies. I'm not saying you can't or you shouldn't, but for me, like, it's multi-IQ always because it does all the work in as one sort of function. And then finally, then some settings. So work from the top. Vibration I always have off. Lighting I set to if I'm just detecting normal, I have the diagonal bar on, so there's auto lighting. And then for nighttime, I have the light down low, just so it doesn't give loads of feedback on the camera and stuff. Keep the flashlight off, and I have the keypad on sort of automatic. Soft keys, and this is what I was talking about earlier. So you can scroll down. This has the etch settings, so the discrimination stuff on here as default. I'll show you what it's on now, what I normally start with. When you go into factory and you put this on, is it recover speed frequency? All metal, accept reject. That's what it's on to start with. I wouldn't have that on there. For me personally, it's much better to have something you're going to use all the time, and you could also start etching out signals on your detector if you're not that experienced with it without realizing. So you definitely want to go into the options and change this to the noise cancel, I would suggest, unless you're all over it and you just etch stuff out all the time, left, right, and Chelsea. That's cool as well. That's down to you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. This was really to talk about in more detail each different option of the Minelab Manticore and just break down the little parts a little bit more. So this is the same settings as my balance settings for the Minelab Manticore, but we just spoke about when you would potentially customize and make some more tweaks to the detector as you go through. And let's whack it up to 25, so I'm out tonight live streaming, so I don't forget the machine going, kicking right off. But yeah, thanks for your time, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and check out my live streams on TikTok at the Artifact Addict. Cheers, guys. Thank you.